evening and thanks for joining us for another episode of ICTFEST 7 years and counting. I'm R. Anderson Edgell. Now, over the past few weeks, we've been taking a closer look at the way in which ICTs have influenced the way we work, communicate, learn, and do just about everything. Now, perhaps one of the industries that have been most affected by the change in technology is the music business. Here to shed some light on this is Omari Halligan. He's the proprietor of Chosen Sound Studios, and of course, Ricardo Drew, recording artist. Good evening, guys, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us here.
All right. Now, Omari, I'll start off with you. First of all, tell us a bit about your background in music, how you got involved, and what are some of your accomplishments and achievements in music?
Wow. Tell you the honest truth, I cut my teeth in Toronto. I say cut my teeth because I had a very rigorous underground type training. I worked with a company called Lounge. They did a lot of promotions, music, styling, everything creative in the urban industry in Toronto over the years. And I interned there, and then I moved up and did a lot of executive duties, started working with some of the artists that were signed to Universal, etc., so on and so forth. And that in itself was just a great experience for me. Something led me back home, Antigua. Antigua does call you from all over the place. Yeah. And I came back here, got into entertainment, and very much into music, sound. And I found, and still find, that Antigua has a very solid artistic base. Its creative base is immeasurable, especially in comparison to other countries in the region, in fact in the world. And so in beginning to work with the artists here, I found that there was a niche that needed to be, something that needed to be grown and put forward onto the world. And we're still in that process. Now 10 years later, we're at a very unique and opportune time. The music is better than it's ever been before. Yeah. The artists are better than they've ever been. And we're doing such great work, and technology in itself has really allowed us to flourish. I mean, in the last 10 years, from 10 years ago, there's so many things that I'm doing now that were not even on the cards then.
Okay. Yeah. Now, speaking about the artist Ricardo Drew, he's here with us. A popular name, especially around Carnival time. Yeah. Tell us about yourself as an artist.
Well, Ricardo Drew, I was born in 1985, and from there I was born into the music. My mom, Nicola Barito, she was into TV, but before she got into TV, she was into music and radio. So I spent most of my time listening to her on the radio and doing different things, watching her on TV. And so the music was always instilled in me, and I think from a very young age, probably around 4 or 5, everywhere I go, I was singing, I was doing different things, and just being a part of melodies, being a part of, and anything that had a beat, I was a part of. So it just grew and kept growing. It's like a monster inside of you, and sometimes you can't control it, so and I just kept going with it up until now. And basically it's been 24 years now for me. Well, 20 years, I'm sorry. And some of the things that I've done, I've like traveled the world, I've seen different places just based on music. And going down to the technology side of it now, I don't live in Antigua, I live in Miami. So when I do work with Omari here, sometimes I record in Miami and then I send him the files. Or I'll be recording and he'll hit me up like, what's up? You in the studio, make sure you're in the studio. Or we could Skype and have a conversation, and he could be part of the session, tell me, okay, well, I don't like what you just did, and do it over. So the technology side of it has really been helpful for situations like mine and Omari's and mine. So I would say that it is really, really, really growing, and it continues to grow. Just now we'll probably be pressing a button and I'll end up in Antigua and boom, back in Miami.
Now, Omari, it was only until earlier this year that I had the privilege of actually coming to the physical studio for Chosen Sounds. And when I stepped inside, I must say I was taken back. The reason being that I was expecting racks and racks of audio processing equipment, but instead what I saw was a computer system, a mixer, and I guess there were some other few gadgets about the place. Tell us about the technology that you use in Chosen Sound and compare it to back then, a couple, 10, maybe 20 years ago, and the technology that was used in that era.
Well, I mean, what we use is, I use a very solid pieces of equipment. So I have a very good vocal chain. Meaning something that gets from voice into microphone, from microphone into mixer, from mixer into sound card or preamp, and then into the computer. We also have a very solid mixing system. I have a Yamaha O2R, which is probably industry standard is what you would call it. Allows me to record multiple tracks of X, Y, Z, whatever, you know, horns, drums, whatever you want. Once they get into the computer, which is in fact very small, because honestly, I'm using an Apple Mini right now, right? I'm using an Apple Mini. And once it gets into the computer, you have racks upon racks upon racks upon racks of processing power, processors, stuff, EQs, compressors, reverbs, delays, special effects, and we have to purchase those. You know, you get all kinds of stuff that you could do, and it's amazing that you can have all these racks in the computer. And like you said, you came in, you saw, okay, I have a stack with some vocal processors, I have a mixing board, I have a computer double screen, and then what else? But we can do everything else in there. We once we get into the computer, we mix, we master, and we output.
So how was that affected? For example, the number of people that are used in an actual studio environment.
I'll tell you what. I mean, it's a good and a bad thing, because what has happened is that you've now given people more access to technology. More access to recording, more access to being creative. A young guy, and I've often seen it, would produce a beat, record a song with a USB microphone. Because now, I mean, even when I travel with a laptop and a blue USB mic that I plug in, high quality, and I can do voiceovers, commercials, anything of that sort, just on that spot. And it's still high quality. I could send it back to my studio or mix it right there with a good pair of headphones, and it's ready to go. It's ready for the radio. So what that does is it's opened up the possibilities for lots of people to become a part of the music. That's a good thing. As far as a studio owner goes, it's shifted, because you don't really have people like droves of people coming in to say they want to record anymore. Maybe it's that they would come in and say, okay, we need you to mix and master this because, you know, of expertise. But in fact, having more technology has allowed the creativity to flourish.
So the workflow has been affected somewhat.
The workflow is completely changed. You know, I mean, beforehand, like, I mean, I don't know if you would have known about 24-track machines. They're just about as big as this table. It's huge. This is what they used to record on before, and now I can do it in a computer and a microphone. You know, and that's just one piece of equipment. You'd have racks upon racks, you know, 20 pieces, and you can still have them, and they do help. And they, you know, you can get into a $500,000 studio if you want, and produce on $500,000, $1 million equipment. But the beauty about now is that I can record and put together my ideas on a very small, compact piece of equipment, and if I so desire, I can then carry it to a larger studio and make it larger than life. And I think that's a beautiful thing for music, and it's allowed. I've actually seen in Antigua how it's allowed people to become more creative. There's a lot of young artists out there doing their thing. And it's the fact that we have so much access outside. It's given people a more of a wider, rounded feel for music. It's also allowed them to communicate more with people outside of the island, which is very important. It's opened up loads of doors. Possibilities are endless.
What about yourself as a recording artist, Ricardo Drew? How have you integrated all of this technology into your music. I don't know if you do writing as well.
Yes.
But how has the technology really influenced your writing or even made it easier?
Well, it's crazy. I mean,
do you write on
I'm not that old. I'm not that old, but you know, a couple years ago, an idea comes to your head and you're walking down the street. You couldn't even pick out your phone and record it. Now, if you're walking down the street and like you hear a car go dun 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 dun, and you catch a melody from that car, pull out your phone, you press the voice note, you record it right then and there. You have it. If I want, I could email it to Omari right then and there.
Right away.
Right there. So it has made things so much easier for us engineers, studio owners, artists to open different avenues and to just, it's just so much easier. It's like I recorded in a couple studios maybe 10 years ago, and the sound that came out of those studios, it was just, to me at the point in time, was amazing. And then maybe about 2 years ago, I went into a room, not even a studio, a room that had a mic in the corner.
Yeah.
And a guy sitting on a laptop, and he had a little compressor, and that was it. And it sounded better than the stuff that I thought. You know, so it's just amazing to see how technology has evolved and how easier it's become for us to do things. And it's actually a little bit better for people like Omari and myself, because we're always on the go. So, you know, like he said, if we need to do something then and there, it can be done.
I'll give you a scenario. Last week, he was in Jacksonville. Actually, you were in Orlando.
Yeah.
And I was in Toronto promoting music. They were about to perform for Jacksonville Carnival. You should go online, search for Ricardo Drew on Facebook. That's facebook.com/Ricardo Drew. And find the clips that we're about to put up of them performing at Jacksonville Carnival. Absolute madness. Anyway. What I'm saying is, they were over there for that show.
Yeah.
I'm in Toronto promoting music. We have a commercial to do, a jingle to do for this company in Miami.
Yeah.
And we produce the music. It's in Trinidad.
Boston.
In Boston. Drew records in Miami. I mix in Toronto and send it to the company back in Miami by email. This is all on the go. This is us moving and shaking and putting the technology to use.
So what I'm seeing here, the technology is making the work faster, more efficient, obviously. But what about the cost for yourself as an artist, and of course a studio producer? How has the technology influenced and affected the cost? Has it made it easier for artists, more profitable?
Yes and no. In certain cases, it's definitely easier on the pockets. And in other cases, it isn't. For example, if I go to a studio that has real equipment, like when I say real, I mean like $500,000, $600 million equipment.
Yeah.
Their cost, of course, is going to be more expensive than if I go to a studio that has, you know, 100,000 or 50,000 or maybe even 20,000. You understand? So it really just depends on the quality that you're looking for, and it depends on who you're working with. Because, for example, if I opened a studio right now, I couldn't charge the same price Omari charged. You know? So, you know, it depends on the person, it depends on the quality of equipment that you have. But it has definitely made it easier on the pockets for me, as I would say.
I think also as well, just to take that idea a step further, in terms of revenues, like garnering revenues, it's really hard on the artists now, even as little as 10 years ago. We want to touch on this idea that internet has made it very hard for artists living, in the fact that royalties are a very important part of how they're able to live. As creatives, they live life for people. For you know, he writes music, performs music for an audience. That's how he makes his living. And so, anytime the music is played, there should be some sort of compensation. Anytime he performs, there should be some sort of compensation. anytime somebody performs his song, likewise. So what happens is that because it's so free across the internet, now the music is played anyhow, it's spread anyhow, there's no control. It's the Wild West. And there are new technologies coming about and things that are allowing, pay for play and streaming.
I was
and so
just
on and so
about
forth.
to ask you about, for example, iTunes. Has that helped to solve the situation as far as the profitability of the artists?
It hasn't really helped to solve it because it's still so wild west. And I mean, in regions like the Caribbean, we don't have any access. The Caribbean people can't just jump up on iTunes and buy songs. For whatever reason, that's an iTunes issue. But what I'm saying, the point is that it has taken away from, like, let's say, record sales. You understand? You could spend $30,000 producing an album, and honestly, if you're to go in and pay for music, recording, harmonies, etc., so on and so forth, you're going to spend a lot of money. It takes a lot to produce even just one song. It's not just I jump in the booth and I sing and I come out. It's not that simple. And so at the end of it, you have a situation where there's not that much compensation in return for it. But on the other hand, you have a vast area in which to promote yourself. And it's all at your fingertips. So you might be lopsided in one area, and the exposures actually increase. The ability to expose yourself.
If I'm getting you correct, record sales or music sales of a song is actually more useful as a marketing tool for the artist as opposed to generating revenue. Is that what you're saying? And the actual stage performances are where the artist will actually make the revenue?
At this stage, correct. I think the stage performances and maybe licensing and those kinds of things are where artists can make real good money now, and that's where we're heading to in terms of that's what we're pushing for. That's the direction we need to go in. That's not saying you neglect the fact that you want to sell songs and sell albums, because you need to do that, but your focus has to be on what you can achieve and not necessarily what impacts on you. You can't worry about the fact that everybody's spreading the music. Use it as an advantage. A lot of people, they cry and they're copying my CD. Somebody wrote on my internet the other day. They said, "Hey Omari, I can't believe it. I'm in South America. An Indian taxi driver just picked me up." And I'm listening to Destination Dadley right now. I just heard Ricardo Drew, and right after Ricardo Drew Drastic, and I was scratching my head because I can't believe where I am. But I mean, it wasn't an original copy, but he's playing the music. And we hope that Indian taxi driver would have passed it on to somebody that could somehow maybe tomorrow call and book Ricardo Drew for a performance.
Okay. Ricardo, your views on this?
I do agree. It has been difficult for us as far as selling records. It really has. As far as, like I said, selling records. However, the effect that the internet has had on, it's a double-sided sword. One side is a little bit duller than the other side. So one side will cut you clean, but the other side will cut you easy. So like I can right now go on Facebook and I can tag 1,000 people if I wanted to, and all they have to do is click on that one song, and once they click on that, like, somebody could see that and be like, oh snap, well, he just put out this song today and he has 1,000 views already and he has 1,000 likes. I should check into that and see more about Ricardo Drew. And then they go onto YouTube, type in Ricardo Drew, and everything that has my name attached to it just pulls right up. So it has been a help, and it has been an injustice. For example, the other day I was on Facebook doing something, and somebody sends me a message. It was a video, and so I click the video, and I hear my song playing in Hong Kong, right? And I see all these people in Hong Kong just going crazy, and I'm like, why am I not there? You understand? But it's because the internet has allowed my music to travel that far, because I didn't go to Hong Kong. I don't know if Omari went. Not yet. I don't know if Omari went to Hong Kong, but when I sent out my music, someone in Hong Kong was in my email list, and that's how they got it.
So, Mari, this is good news for local artists, I would assume, as far as getting exposure.
I think it's great, but the exposure alone is not going to do it. You need to have a hardworking ethic. It really is not. It's not a walk in the park. You know, the kind of work. Music, by definition, is an all day, all night experience. It's not the amount of work that you do. It's crazy in terms of the returns that you might get. You know, there's a lot of guys I've seen out there grinding. They're doing so much work, and at the end of the day, there's no money in their pockets. You understand what I'm saying? I have a producer friend of mine, Justin, and I'm just going to give the real story here. He wrote a really amazing song while he was sleeping on my studio floor. Since that time, he's gone on to, he's been signed by a German label, etc., so on and so forth. But it's just amazing at what you have to go through if music is your labor of love. Yeah. And I think it's not that way in all places. You understand? In the region, we need to take music much more serious. I'm going to go out on a limb and really say that tourism as we know it is dead. Maybe we can find a new tourism experience in creating opportunities and synergies between artists and that type of tourist that wants to come and have a musical experience. I mean, people respond to music. It's a time-old tradition. That's what happens. Bob Marley made Jamaica famous, and the rest of them are still doing it. Antigua has, pound for pound, the most creative music resource in the Caribbean. So what your challenge is to respect it, to love it, and to put it to good use. Please.
And with that, we're going to take a short commercial break. Remember, you're listening to ICTFEST 7 years and counting. Stay with us. We'll be back. We'll have more when we get back from the break.
My name is Lawrence Jardian. I'm the founder of DMS, Data Management Solutions Limited. We are a software development company. We specialize in payroll software for Antigua and Barbuda businesses. We first developed the product in 1992, and we wrote it for Windows in 2000 to meet Y2K. Since then, we have acquired a number of major clients, including Social Security Board and medical benefits. We also customize our application to meet the needs of many of our clients, to integrate with accounting packages, time and attendance modules, and also Microsoft Word and Excel, popular applications. We have participated in the ICTFEST since 2005. The ICTFEST has given us the opportunity to showcase our product and to meet a number of persons who are providing solutions as well. This year we will be participating in the ICTFEST to continue to demonstrate our product and to some extent assist the national development in terms of its ICT quest.
ICTFEST 2011, empowering the nation, improving lives.
Thanks for staying with us here on ICTFEST 7 years and counting. I'm R. Anderson Edgel. My guest tonight, Omari Harrigan, Chosen Sound Studio proprietor, as well as Ricardo Drew, recording artist here in Antigua and Barbuda and Miami, and across the world as well. Thanks again for staying with us, guys. Now, I want to touch on another issue. Growing up, I grew up in the era with CDs. That was the order of the day. And now I have an iPod in my car. I no longer use my CD deck because I download all my music to my iPod. Let's talk about the way in which music is consumed and the technology that is used right now.
That's just crazy. I mean, I was around to see records. In fact, I still have a very large record collection. I maybe have about 3,000 records. Didn't get as much CDs though. And we went through that CD era. It was great. And I think CDs are still used now today, but more as promotion, hand off, it's easy. As a matter of fact, I was just in Canada and somebody gave me a USB drive with all their music on it.
Wow.
And I think that's where the next step is. That's where the music is going. And then what's easy as well too is you get these little cards. You can scratch off the back and there's a code. You go on the internet, you punch in the code, and up comes the music. You download link. A few minutes time, you have a whole album, whole sampler. It's just, there's so many ways. Next they have cell phones. You can scan the barcode and the application will come up for the artist. It might go to a website, it might give you a free single, it might give you a ringtone. There's the convergence of technology has given you so many different options.
And that's a beautiful thing. Now let's look at the schools now. We know in the schools for quite some time, students are being taught the instruments. I know when I was in school, they taught me the recorder. I didn't really like it. I wanted to play something, an instrument that I thought was more exciting. All right. But besides instrument, do you think that students should be exposed to the technical back end work, for example, the studio work that you're involved in?
I mean, so much so. I mean, what we did this summer was we took it upon ourselves with Swalings Antigua, and that's myself, Ricardo, Drew, and Drastic, to conduct a few workshops with the children to show them what artists do, what studios do, and how music is made, and how we go about just producing the stuff that you hear. And it was just amazing. Every time they came, their faces were like lit up, and they were so interested in getting that type of education, in understanding what was going on, what was where, what is this, what is that, how does that work, how to make music, how to write a song, how to use a microphone. And I've been saying throughout the whole show, creative industries is where it's at, and I want to drill it home. I want people to understand that is where we have to go. We have to give respect to it. We have to support it and nurture it, encourage it. It doesn't just come overnight. Somebody just doesn't wake up and all of a sudden become an artist. Like he said, it's been 20 years in the making. He's been doing it since he was 4. But then it's given him a vast amount of skills along the way. Some people it might be shorter, some people it might be longer. But to answer your question, we do need more of that type of infrastructure in schools. We need more of I would even carry it a step further and say that once you've learned those musical tenets, those different things, the technology background, actually playing an instrument, then we also need to cultivate and nurture the business aspect, the marketing aspect. It should become a really big part of our society because, again, the creative industries is where it's at. The video industry directly feeds off the music. The fashion industry also as well ties right into it. And so there is a vast amount of things that we can do in this one creative entertainment industry that will provide not only for the individuals but for the nation. Go Google what is the contribution of music to countries like Jamaica and Trinidad at their bottom line. How much does it provide for the country? It's huge. It's insane.
All right. Now, Ricardo, Drew, there's an issue that I want to touch on as well with you. Now, the technology has made it easier for artists in a lot of ways, and also has helped to, make up for some deficiencies. What are your views on studios using the technology to correct people's voice, as well as auto-tune? What are your views on that?
Well, I mean, I was against autotune for a very, very long time. And then somebody forced me to use it just to see how it helps, your vocals and stuff like that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with using it. Now, if you're T-Pain in it.
Explain that term, T-Pain in it.
Meaning like you put autotune on your voice and you sound like T-Pain, like completely, like not yourself. Then you're going too far. But if you just use it to maybe enhance maybe like a little off note, or to give it a cool effect, because autotune does give you a cool effect when you're using it as well. I don't see anything wrong with it. Definitely there's been all kind of things that have been coming out in the last couple of years to help enhance your vocals and enhance production and stuff like that. There's actually this thing called Melodyne. I could go there and I could sing every note wrong. And Omari could go in there and he could just move it up, move it where he needs to go. And when I come back, I'll be sounding like Usher or Boyz II Men or something like that.
But how does that affect the dedication that an artist should have to perfecting his natural talent?
It affects it a lot because then you become
Reliant.
Yeah, and lazy. Like some people just record, like then you become a studio artist.
And again, we don't practice that in the studio. When I say we don't practice it, like if you're an artist and you're going to take your career seriously, then you have to learn and train as if you are serious.
Okay.
And part of that training does not involve cheating. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to use it as part of a repertoire. Like, I mean, he could auto-tune all day if he wanted, because he can go on the stage and sing well.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? He could now go and produce a fully auto-tuned track if he wanted to, and people wouldn't take it out of context, because he has spent considerable amount of time in training, in understanding his craft and honing his craft so that he could deliver for an audience. Now, if you become a studio artist, like he says, how then, first of all, do you deliver to an audience? You can't deliver. You go up on the stage, unless you walk with your auto-tune box. That's the only way you're gonna be able to. When people see you on the stage and you're performing, they're like, boo, two buckle. You know, you don't want that. You have to take it as a serious thing. It is a holistic experience. In life, most things need to be taken on the whole, and music is not an exception. You have to look at it as a full-time study, a full-time occupation. You have to constantly be willing to push the limits, to get better and better, to be more creative, to deliver more value to your audience.
All right, well said.
And if you don't have the money to do it, if you need vocal training and you don't have the money to go out and get a vocal trainer, go to YouTube. I'm sure there's somebody on YouTube giving lessons.
That's a great suggestion.
Really?
The amount of things that you could find on YouTube. The technology is just making everything more accessible for
Google
everyone
it
right now. All right, so what's in the pipeline now for Chosen Sound Studios? What are some of the projects that you guys are working on right now?
We have a very outward experience at the moment. I think really it's the pain of bringing Antigua music to the world. That's not saying there isn't Antigua music out there, but it is saying that we are very much lacking on an international market, and we really want to be able to introduce the great talent that we have here to other parts of the world, not only our diaspora, which is our Caribbean diaspora, New York, Miami, Trinidad, blah, 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 but we also want to be able to bridge the gap and go into different cultures. And that's why the music at the studio at Chosen Sounds is not centered around just soca music.
Okay.
Or just reggae music or just anything. You know, we attempt and strive to make good music in many different genres, and particularly try to converge the music in some instances. So you might find R&B and soca meld, or a hip-hop and dancehall kind of track, or a convergence of all different types of artists converging in this music to make it more effective, I would say. So that is one of the main things we are doing right now, is pushing the music out to the world. And then of course we have a lot of individual projects going on. If you're thinking in terms of artists, Ricardo's just about to leave and go to Trinidad. He tours with a band called
Image and Company.
And he's got his Trinidad stint coming up. So between now and February, he'll be touring in Trinidad. So we have to focus on his promotion that's going on there, the singles that are going to go out there and how it's received, and of course, we're looking towards doing a Christmas project.
Okay.
I've never done a Christmas project before, and I also think it's very important. You know, we have a lot to say, and there's a lot of good music that can be made around the season. You know, bring people joy.
Yeah.
So I want everybody to look forward to that project. I think it's a great experience. It will be a great experience. We've already started laying down the vocal tracks and guides and stuff like that will help to make the music, and so we'll be ready for you to come out and enjoy that project during the Christmas, and hopefully we'll have a concert or something like that. Do a little Christmas concert. You know what I mean?
That'll be lovely. Ricardo, what's happening with you?
Like you were saying, starting next week I'll be leaving to Trinidad to start the preparation for Trinidad Carnival. Before that, I'll be in Miami in October, dealing with Miami Carnival. When I come back, I'll be traveling to Cayman Islands in November to do the Pirates Week in the Cayman Islands. Come back, and then my tour in Trinidad starts from November to February. And it's just going to be really hectic. My album for Antigua Carnival next year is almost done. I don't know what it's going to be called yet, but it's almost done. We have everything laid out, because it becomes really difficult to be going so much and then have with all that just to sit down and be like, okay, well, let me think of something. And you've been singing the same songs for like the last 4 months over and over. Like it becomes stuck in your head, so the melodies that you may come up with then might be similar to the melodies you've been singing all day. So most definitely that's what's going to be happening. Chosen Sound is definitely where I'm going to be at, and we just hope to take it to another level. And technology.
Well, guys, once again, thanks for stopping by. I really enjoyed this session. Hope you also be a part of ICTFEST 2011.
Well, I always pass through ICTFEST, and I urge everybody around the studio. I'd actually like to not only congratulate my team, but give them a big thumbs up. Everybody who's a part of Chosen Sounds, Diesel the engineer, Rick, Cobweb, the artist, Drastic, Ricardo Drew, DP Ching, Kenny Blessing, who comes and does projects with us, Carlos Turner, who's now doing stuff. I want to big up the Shire, who we're talking to right now. They all are very serious and hardworking, and they all endeavor to put technology to use in their music. So we'll definitely all be there. Everybody, you support it as well too. ICTFEST, I mean, it's a staple, you know. It's part of us. It's Antigua.
Thanks again, guys. There you have it. I've been speaking to Ricardo Drew, recording artist, as well as Amari Harrigan. He's the proprietor of Chosen Sounds Studios. Now remember the dates for ICTFEST. It will be October 12 and 13 at the Multipurpose Cultural and Exhibition Center. This year's ICTFEST is being held under the theme ICTFEST 2011, Empowering the Nation, Improving Lives. For more information on ICTFEST 2011, contact our office at 468-4610 or email ictfestantigua@gmail.com or visit our website www.ictfest.ag. Well, thanks again. This has been ICTFEST 7 years and counting. Do join us again next week. I'm R. Anderson Edgel.